This is how I got Amazon executives to 40x my marketing budget from low 6 figures to 8 figures in just 2 meetings. It's a playbook that can do the same for you. A 4-step framework that if you follow it, will help you secure the bag. So if you want to prove your worth and secure that 8-figure bag, this is a system for you. It's called the plot framework, and it's 4 steps. Partner, don't pitch, locate the high value actions, or HVAs, outline the business case, and tell the story. Let's dive into each one. Partner, don't pitch. This is the easiest step of them all, but it's the most frequent mistake I see marketers make. They go into that budget meeting, guns blazing, ready to fight for marketing budget. But here's the reality. Marketing doesn't have a budget. Your business has a budget, and your finance team is the gatekeeper of that budget. So if you want some of that money, you better learn to speak their language. Hence the premium we're placing on partnership here. So before you do anything, you're going to learn the art of the pre-flight meeting. It's a casual collaboration session with your finance partners where you do a lot more listening than talking. In this meeting, you're going to start by setting the table. You're going to provide the context, starting with a simple statement that outlines your intent, that you're here to find out what the business's goals are and how you can help hit them. So no, you're not going to go in and say, but I got to pay for 10 social videos, or I got to pay X, Y, and Z influencer. Nobody cares. What they do care about is how those tactics drive the business. So don't start with the inputs. Start with the outputs, what those things are driving for the business. I like to start with something like, hey, we're putting together our 2026 strategy. We want to make sure that things that we do ladder back up to key, measurable business objectives and customer outcomes. Great, you've made your intentions clear. It's not about you, it's about the business. But there's 5 key questions you gotta ask before that meeting ends. It's gonna help you gather information that'll allow you to come back with an actual good plan during the budget ask meeting, whenever that is. Years ago, I thought I had to choose, be the brand guy or be the growth guy. One day, I'm on team emotional connection. The next, I'm on team ROAS. It felt like 2 different games with completely different scoreboards. So I started experimenting. What if campaigns could win on both? What if scale and soul didn't have to be at odds? And that work became the foundation for Field Vision, an integrated marketing system where you don't have to choose between short-term gains and long-term gains. It's how I've helped launch artists, reframe fan experiences, and drive growth at some of your favorite brands. So stop choosing between brand and growth. Choose Field Vision and get both. Anyways, the 5 questions. Goals. What are the most important goals for the business this year? Measurement. How are we measuring or quantifying that? What are the key risks and dependencies to hitting those goals? When you think about our team and what we do, what are ways that we can best help you hit those goals? And what are the proof points that I could bring you along the way that show you how we can help? What does this do? The first thing it does, it establishes trust. You've established a partnership. You've made your intentions clear that you are there for the business, and you've built a bridge between you and your finance team. After all, you're going to be asking them for money. Don't you want to have some kind of relationship and get this thing off on the right foot? The second is you've gathered a ton of key inputs that are going to inform your plan. Now you're going to be able to come back after you do the hard work and position things correctly to the gatekeepers, your finance team. You're going to be able to put things in language they understand and they care about because you shut your mouth and you asked the right questions. Now you got the bigger picture. But that's the easy part. It's done. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. This is where we start to dive into proving out the value that we can bring as a marketing unit to the business. Because to ask for budget at a business, you better be able to quantify what it's worth. And that starts with locating your high value actions, otherwise known as HVAs. What are high value actions? They are actions that your customers take that have an associated downstream monetary value to the business. These are things like a sign up, an upgrade, a win back. All of those actions have an associated value to your business. But to be able to value those things, first you got to identify what they are. And it's 4 steps to doing it that we'll go through together. First, you got to map the customer journey from awareness through to retention, end to end, every step. Then we got to find the correlations. So mapping the customer journey, it tells us the behaviors, but correlation tells us if a behavior matters. For example, Meta, back when it was Facebook, found that customers who added 7 friends in their first 10 days were much more likely to retain. So basically, they found that adding friends was correlated with retention. We got to find the correlations. Then we got to calculate the lift. So now we know which behaviors matter, but lift tells us how much that behavior matters. Lastly, we got to assign a financial value because this tells us how much an action is worth in dollars. And once we know how much an action is worth in dollars, we're pretty close to building out a solid business case. But to really ground this, we're going to go through each step in a hypothetical example. Starting now, we all work for a video streaming product named Streamly. Welcome to Streamly, everyone. And we're in the midst of trying to secure our budget with our finance team. So let's run the play. Step 1, we got to map that customer journey. Every step from when a customer first hears about Streamly to becoming a loyal customer. We got to map out each step. And for Streamly, here's what that is. First, a user becomes aware. They hear about Streamly. Then they decide to go check it out. They visit Streamly. Then they create an account, sign up to become a customer. After they create an account, they get hit with onboarding and they complete the onboarding process. After that, they watch their first video. They take their first stream. After they watch that video, they liked it so much, they favorite that channel. After they've favorited that channel, maybe they're so compelled, they leave a comment. Then they come back, they watch more videos. Finally, they're so happy with Streamly that they subscribe. Awesome, we got ourselves a loyal subscriber. So this is the full customer journey. We've mapped out each point. Step 2 is finding the correlations. Now, step 2, we start getting into the science behind the customer journey. But let me just say this, you're not expected to do the math alone. You're a marketer. Your job is to understand things well enough so that you can figure out who to work with, you can brief them appropriately, you can ask the right questions and guide them towards the right outcomes, but you're likely not going to be the one crunching the numbers by yourself. Just understand it enough to be dangerous. So this is where we partner with our data teams to find the stages in the customer journey that correlate with long-term business success. This is going to tell us which of these behaviors listed out here actually matter. To do this, data teams ran some correlative behavioral models. They did some fancy math against things like retention, subscription likelihood, overall LTV. And here's what they found. Creating an account, a clear correlative relationship with long-term retention. It's the gateway behavior for all downstream value. Matters. Then, favoriting a channel. This is linked to a higher likelihood of subscribing and retaining, an early signal of loyalty. Lastly, subscribing, starting that paid subscription. This is the strongest indicator of long-term retention and lifetime value. So we're not done. Now we need to calculate the lift, right? We know what behaviors matter, but now we need to know how much they matter. So lift tells us how much more likely it is that a customer is going to perform that high value action by comparing two groups of customers, those who took the HVA versus those who did not. For example, if users who favorite a channel subscribe at a rate of 12% and users who don't favorite a channel subscribe at a rate of 5%, that's a 140% increase in subscription rate for customers who favorite a channel, which we would say as customers who favorite a channel are 2.4 times more likely to subscribe. That's the lift. And so here's what Streamly found out. Users who create an account, 2 times more likely to subscribe. Users who favorited a channel, 2.4 times more likely to subscribe. And users who subscribed, 3.2 times more likely to retain. So now we know which behaviors matter and we know how much they matter. Now we need to know how much they are worth to the business, which brings us to step 4, assign financial value. So Lyft shows us the difference between users who perform that behavior and users who don't. Step 4 uses that difference to calculate how much revenue each behavior is worth over time. To do this, your data partners here at Streamly, they looked at things like how long people stay, how often they come back, how much money they're bringing in. And here's what they found out. Based on their analysis, creating an account is worth $20 to the business. Favoriting a channel, worth $27. And subscribing, worth $60. After all that, a lot of partnership and conversation with your data science and your analytics team, you now know how much your high-value actions are worth. We're on our way to a solid business case, people. And that's what we need to do next. We need to outline the business case. We've quantified our high-value actions, but now we need to figure out which of our marketing tactics are driving those high-value actions. What are we doing that's driving an account creation, that's driving a subscription, that's driving someone to favorite a channel? We want to take credit for that because we're asking for money. So we better have some proof that we are driving these things. To identify which of our marketing tactics drives these HVAs, we got 3 more steps. We got to analyze which actions led to HVAs. We got to validate that. And then lastly, we have to calculate the LTV. So let's dive into each one. Your data science and analytics partners, they're going to look at all the things marketing does. They're going to look at your paid social ads, your emails, your push notifications, your influencer campaigns. Then they're going to do some mapping to find out which of those tactics occurs right before an HVA takes place. For Streamly, when the team went and did this analysis, they found out there were 2 marketing tactics that drove HVA. YouTube trailers and paid social ads. These were the tactics that they identified happen right before an HVA takes place. Now we got to validate this. So they test it for real. For example, you show a paid social ad to one group, but not the other. If the group that sees the ad performs that HVA more often than the group who didn't see the ad, well, then we know the ad helped. The experiment to validate helps us be sure that the tactic drove the HVA instead of just magically appearing next to it. For Streamly, we ran 2 tests. For YouTube trailers, we ran an A/B test. Group A saw the trailer, Group B didn't. What we saw was Group A created accounts at a 3.5% higher rate than Group B. So, YouTube trailers created a 3.5% incremental lift in account creation. For paid social, Group A saw a paid social ad, Group B didn't. And what we found was that Group A started subscriptions at a 4.5% higher rate than Group B. Paid social, a 4.5% incremental lift in subscription. So once the testing is done, the team adds all of this up. So for YouTube, we reached 1 million customers with the trailer. For paid social, we reached 2 million customers. YouTube, 3.5% incremental lift times a million, and paid social ad, 4.5% times 2 million equals 35K and 90K. So that's all we did. We multiplied lift by reach, and that got us the number of HVAs we drove. Now we multiply that by our HVA value, which we already know. Remember, creating an account is worth $20, subscribing worth $60. So 35,000 times $20 and 90,000 times $60 gets us to $700,000 of value driven from YouTube trailers and $5.4 million in value driven from paid social ads for a grand total of $6.1 million. But wait, YouTube trailers and paid social ads aren't free, right? So we got to calculate our cost. Add that together, it's $1.72 million. We subtract that from our 6.1, and what do we get? Net value of $4.38 million. We did it. We're able to say that these marketing tactics, YouTube trailers and paid social ads, at a $1.72 million investment, drive $4.38 million incremental dollars to the business. Boom. But we're not done, because now we got to go back to finance and we got to tell the story. We're marketers. We should be able to story tell. Got to make it compelling, let them know we did our homework, and tell them exactly what we're going to drive for the business. So tell the story that only you can tell. I recommend starting by saying we mapped the full customer journey. From there, we identified our high value actions. We then attached real dollar values to these HVAs and identified which of our marketing tactics drive these HVAs. Then we scaled that lift across realistic reach for our campaigns, so a campaign forecast. We concluded that with a budget of $1.72 million, we can drive $6.1 million in LTV for a net gain of $4.38 million incremental dollars to the business. So that's it. You got the bones of your business case ready for your finance team to review. Now, surround it with all the things that make marketing marketing. Show them the things that you're going to do that make the brand cool. Show them that YouTube trailer creative concept and how it's going to infuse your new, refreshed brand messaging into it. Show them that paid social ad and the influencers that you're going to contract and pay that really bring that ad to life. Show them the things that are going to make them proud to go home and tell their kids, I work at Streamly. Because if we know one thing about execs, it's that they really want to be cool in the eyes of their kids. Make it happen. Your finance team's going to be blown away. They're going to say, wow, this is so much cooler than all my other meetings. Here's some money. Probably. And here we are at the conclusion of the plot framework that moves your marketing team from, I need budget to do this thing, to here's the exact value we create for the business and why we deserve that budget. Yep, it's a lot of steps, but thankfully I've packaged it up into a step-by-step guide that you can download and easily follow at your business. Just go to fieldvision.com by using the link in the description and it's all yours. Now go out and secure that bag.